Hey, what's happening, guys? This is Jason. I know it's been a minute. I've been kind of busy. I've been actually just trying to grind it out, try to fill this company out. I believe it's been, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks since I actually made a video that I uploaded. Actually, I do have a bunch of videos that I made that was, rounding out the orientation process. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not sure when, if ever, I'm going to be able to have those videos uploaded to y'all, only because they got to be a lot of well, I ain't gonna say a lot, but they got to be done some editing to it. And I've tried to edit with my cell phone, and because I come from a desktop arena, doing it on the cell phone is really not my thing. It's real cumbersome, should I say. I'm more used to, hitting keyboard cuts and all of that to get my videos done and all of that. And I haven't broken my purse up to get me a laptop. I don't even know if I'm ever going to do that, because like I said, I'm actually just grinding here, trying to get my money right. I got some things that I need to really need my attention. So with that said, I just wanted to make a quick video. Like I said, it's been 4 weeks since I last made something and uploaded it, and I wanted to give y'all an update how things is going. So as far as I can tell you, I'm liking it. I really don't have really too much bad to say about this company. They are really running me the way that I appreciate them being ran. Of course, like any other driver, we all want more miles. However, I'm happy with what I get. I think I make almost somewhere between 2,800 and 3,100 miles every week. I know my second paycheck was really disappointing, but there was a reason as to that. I'll try to remember to go into as to why that happened, but it was real disappointing. They've been pretty good to me. I like the management here. I like my driver manager, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm one of those guys that it just seems like every time I get a driver manager, if it's a male, if it's a guy, we never click. You know what I'm saying? So I've always had to switch my driver managers out, and when I get a female driver manager, it always work out for some reason. Now, this time around, this guy, me and him is clicking. Like when I first met him, I went to the terminal, and he seen me before I seen him, because I didn't know what he looked like, but I guess he had a picture of me, so he knew who I was, and he introduced himself, and we just started vibing. He told me what was my expectations. I told him what my expectations was, and it seems like he's trying to stick with that. It's real personal dude. We get to laughing and joking. We crack jokes all the time, because unfortunately, I'm one of those drivers that when I do pick up my loads, I really would do a pre and post trip on my equipment, and I have the knack of finding issues that need to be brought to the shop. So every time I call him, especially if I'm just picked up a load, he'd be like, "Okay, what you done broke now?" That's like the ongoing joke we got going on, because I always find something that's not right. Like one time, I had picked up a preloaded trailer at the terminal, and there was no brakes on the trailer. Like literally, there were no brake pads. So and that was crazy. And that was hauling cores, a full load of beer. I think it was like 46,000 pounds, something like that. So that had to be taken care of. And then it's been a few that, like, I picked up another trailer. The freaking airbags wouldn't stay inflated. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. I just had a phone call. Told him I'd give him a call back. Where was I? Yeah, I said like the airbags in the on the trailer just wouldn't maintain air. or I start the truck up. Like usually my process is when I hook up to a trailer, I hook up, put the airlines, electrical on and everything, and then I would push in, you know, the emergency brake button. I do that because that allows air to be built up into the system. So, and plus it allows me a chance to hear whether or not there are any air leaks or whatever. So, you know, I do that. Now when I did that, and I went to check the airbags, it seemed like the airbags had air in it. They was pretty tight. So I went and pulled the brakes so that I could you know, slide my tandems and all of that. And when I went to go pull the button out, you know, pull the button, I noticed that there was no air in the airbags. So I was like, damn, is that supposed to happen? Because you know how sometimes there's you know, you just like, it just curious shit happens. So you just kind of, at least me, I kind of second guess my assumptions and, you know, things. And so I pulled out, you know, and then I tested it again. Sure enough, the airbags wasn't holding any air. They would lift, they would inflate, and then as soon as you pull, you know, pull the brakes or whatever, the air would escape. So it would never hold no air. So I had to, you know, put that in. Then there was another issue, whereas I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no idea how this freaking happened, but I'm doing a drop and hook, made it to my destination and everything, and you know how you get out the truck and you know you pulling the lines off and all of that, and I take off the emergency line, the red line, boom, no problem. Took off the electrical, boom, no problem, and pull the blue line. Sure enough, the fucking hose separated from the glad hand. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. I couldn't believe that happened. And I'm like, how the fuck does that even happen? Like, it must have just happened just now, because I was actually parking the trailer, and so if the line was already broken, then I wouldn't have been able to move the trailer, because there wouldn't have been no air going to the trailer. Then what is he doing? I'm sorry. There's a guy. I don't know. Does he realize that? Oh, he's swinging it the other way. So you know, I guess it was one of those kind of airlines. You know how your airline, they have a number of ways they can make the connections, but the original connection was just inside. It seemed like it was like a compression fitting on it, whereas some airlines, they put the plumber's tape on, they screw it on there and tighten it, you know, and it's screwed on. But this wasn't screwed on. This was just a compression, and I guess over time, I guess me hitting it, you know, to release it, you know, get it off the glad hand from the trailer, it just snapped. So there that was. And then yesterday, oh my God, yesterday I'm actually on my way there. I'm on my way to Maine right now, and I'm trying to pace myself. My whole intention was to be able to get to get on the other side of DC, coming from North Carolina. So I'm trying to get on the other side of DC, get to the bypass, right? Of course, I'm not paying it. Well, let me backtrack a bit. So that's my whole intention. However, when I get to, I think I was still in Virginia when this happened. Yeah, it was Virginia. When I get to Virginia, I'm in Virginia, and I'm just driving down the road, getting on down the road, you know, minding my business and all that, trying to be a safe driver and everything. And there's a flatbed, maybe about 2 or 3 truck lengths ahead of me. And behind the flatbed, I think it's like 2 or 3 cars. So that's how far away he was. But I noticed that he immediately jumped to the shoulder, you know, as he's jumping, he's throwing on his hazards and he's jumping. So that just indicated to me that there was some kind of issue there. Unbeknownst to me, though, he had blown a tire, and as he gets to the shoulder, I noticed the vehicles that were behind him, they're like trying to dodge something. So there's a tire, and there's a tire. It's not really a tire. It's the tire unraveled, pretty much. But I couldn't see none of that because of the cars that was in my field of view. But by the time the last car dodged it, I was already up on it, and I didn't really want to run over it. So I tried to get around it, but it got caught up in my drives. Well, it didn't get caught up in, but I can feel that my drives kick in. And anybody that drives one of these new style Freightliners, you know, they got all these bells and whistles for safety concern. You know, the stabilizing kicked in and the brakes, you know, it did its thing. So I immediately pulled over, put myself on duty to inspect my equipment and just to see if I had any damage or anything. I'm looking. I didn't see no real. I didn't see any damage on the truck or the equipment. However, I did find that there was some remnants of the tire caught up in between my brake caliper. So I pulled that out. But other than that, there was really nothing else. I pretty much checked everything, the drivetrain and everything. You know, there was really nothing. I checked my U-bolts, and everything seemed to be in working order. However, my main concern was that my load may have shifted. Now, being that this is a new company for me, I don't know how they would react. Let's say I went and delivered this load and then it gets rejected because the load shifted. I don't know how this company would react under that circumstance. You know, most companies, they look at it as part of trucking kind of thing, but if I'd have done that and didn't report to them, it's possible that if I didn't report the incident to them, they might have made a stink about it, and then somehow enough, you know, I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have paid for the restacking of these pallets, but I'm pretty sure they would have figured out some way to penalize me, even if it's just to take my safety bonus or whatever. So I gave them a call. And I told her, I said, hey, this is what happened. Everything seems to be good. I'm getting back on down the road. I'm just calling y'all out of, you know, being due diligent here, just so y'all know that this happened. In the event that I get to where I'm going, I'm actually going to go to, because there was a TA coming up. So I was telling her I'm actually going to go to this TA, get myself reweighed, which should indicate whether or not the load shifted anyway. The person I spoke to, which I called safety up first, and safety sent me to claims. And the lady from claims said, did you get the information from the other driver? Now, me thinking like, well, this was one of those freak accidents kind of thing. I mean, he didn't intentionally do none of this shit, you know, unless he just don't do pre-trips, and it just, you know, he should have been able to identify whether or not these tires were able to, you know, to go from wherever he come from to where he's going to, you know. But I didn't think to get the guy's information. And now I done already pulled off. I'm getting on further down the road here. And she was like, no, is he still there? And I said, well, he was when I pulled away. I said, do you want me to turn around and go get it? She was like, yeah, that would be good, because in the event, so now we can always get the other company to pay for this. We can get reimbursed for anything that we may have to do with this load. So that meant me doing that. Now, bear in mind, I'm trying to get around DC, you know, like get on the other side of DC, because I know how that traffic be over there. So, oh my God, I had to turn around. That was a whole nother 20 minutes. I mean, not 20 minutes, a whole nother 20 miles. That might have took about another 30 minutes to do, to go up, come back down, and come back up. That was like 20 miles altogether. Then I get there. By the time I get there, the guy, Loves, is already on the job. They out there changing the tire and all of that. I pull up and I go talk to the guy. Make a long story short, the guy was like, he was very understanding. He was like, oh, no problem. And I got his information. I'm about to bounce. He was like, hey, let me just call my safety. And he called the safety. Oh my fucking God. That shit took forever. I'm like, oh my God, and I'm still on duty now. This thing is just eating the fuck out of my clock. I'm like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And it was like going on and on. And then the guy from his company's like, well, we may have to call the cops and get a police report. I'm like, are you fucking serious? But at the end of the day, they never, you know, went and called for a police report, which was cool. Because I didn't need one, you know. So, and by the time we got to this point, I already got the claims lady back in my ear, and she's kind of like guiding me through what information I should give them and that kind of stuff. So anyway, by the time I got done with that, I'm getting on down the road. It's like, by the time I get to DC itself, it's after 5 o'clock. And y'all know, if you go down, drive through there, you know what it's like there. So I'm driving. I done ate up my whole fucking clock. By the time I get to DC, I'm down to like 2 hours. It took me almost 2 hours just to get from there to on the bypass. And by the time I got to the bypass, I was down to 38 freaking minutes. I'm looking on my apps trying to figure out where I can park. There are no truck stops. There was 2 hotels, so that would have meant that I would have had to buy a room, which wouldn't have been too bad, but I would have had to pay for a hotel, which would have been about $100, but which would have been much better than having to pay for a tow, no matter how you look at that. And then after that, I'm like, fuck it. I noticed that there was a weigh station. I said, I really don't care to freaking have to, park at a weigh station, but I will this time around. I will do that. And I get to the weigh station. Weigh station is closed, and I go up to the inspection area. There's other guys parked there already, and there was a slot for me. It's true. I just pulled right in. I was able to, kill that at 11 minutes time. Now I'm sitting somewhere outside of Boston since then, so I made pretty much good time. I drove for almost 7 hours and change. I'm shut down for the night. I got another 5 hours to go. My Walmart appointment is tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so I'm good to go with that. But yeah, just to give y'all, I don't know. I just wanted to share that with y'all because that was pretty crazy. But all in all, this seems like a really good. Everybody seems really decent here. And they don't. The one thing I really like about NAPA is that they don't freaking, like, I haven't heard from them. If I don't call them, they don't call me. I guess the only time they call me is if they need some information. Like, they do call me. They say, hey, James, we trying to do your pre-plan. When do you think you'll be able to be available after this delivery? That's what kind of shit they do. All right, so they don't be hounding me, like micromanaging my freaking time and none of that. When I get it, I get it. I tell them what time I'm gonna get there. Shoot, they adjust my arrival times and my appointment times, and we good to go. So I don't have no problems. That's how it is. I if you're looking for a place, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're looking for a place and another thing, I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned this in any of my other videos. And another thing, this company here is one of those companies that if you do over the road or regional or local or whatever, because they're based out in, I know they have a terminal in Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. I think they got another one somewhere. I just can't think of it. But I know in those 3 areas they have terminals, and then I think you can do local at any one of those. And they do regional. Me, I do over the road. So I'm pretty much wherever they got loads that I'm going. They ask you where you want to go, where you don't want to go. And they pretty much respect. I tell them I pretty much go anywhere. The only place I really don't want to go to is either Florida or Washington State, because it's just hard getting. Florida it's hard getting out of Florida, but most companies I've been with, they will route you to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? To get a load, they will do that. You'll go out, you'll leave the Florida to pick your load, not bobtail, but deadhead to wherever you need to go at. But every time I've been to Washington State, I swear to God, every time I've been there, I've wound up having to sit 2-3 days. So if I can avoid having to do that, I'd rather not. And they said, well, that's okay, because we don't really go out that far. So I'm like, all right, cool. So they asked me, do I want to go to New York City? I said, not really, what about Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island? I said, yeah, I don't care about none of them other things, I don't have no problem with all that. I know pretty much they more or less the same. My thinking is like this, I can deal with Philly, I think I can pretty much drive anywhere, I'll be honest with you. I just don't want to have to deal with New York City, because New York City is just a whole different kind of beast. Like, I hate having even to come through there, but sometimes I have driven through there to get to like Throsneck or whatever. But anyway, yeah. But like I was trying to get to is that if you really looking to get to a place, I'm gonna be honest with you, they really treat you right here. And even like the mechanics, nobody is on no bullshit. Like I done worked at other companies where you can't even really talk to the mechanics. The mechanics be acting all flaky and all of that. And you know, everybody's just been decent, really decent here. Now, as far as the pay is concerned, I think it's decent. I just pretty much learned that. I'm sorry, I'm sweating. I turned the engine off so that y'all can hear me. So I'm gonna try to wrap this up because I'm starting to heat up. But as far as the pay is concerned, I think it's pretty decent. I did have an issue with my second week. Now, when you first sign up for orientation, they tell you they're gonna pay you $1,000 just for orientation. Now, orientation was 4 days. Now, realistically speaking, they could have condensed that down to like 2 days. So I'm gonna be honest with you, it didn't really require it to be over 4 days, but they give you $1,000 just for going through orientation and completing your road test. And once you get your first dispatch in, that'll be on your first check. So your first dispatch usually starts on Friday. That's where it started for me, and you know, they pay you $1,000 plus whatever you did. I had a real short run, so my first paycheck was $1,000 plus that short run. However, I did drive my own personal vehicle there, so they kind of reimbursed me for that, and they paid me mileage pay for that. So I had a pretty sizable check there. My second check was shitty. I really can't remember why it turned out to be shitty, but it was just real shitty miles. And I think it was because of I really think it was because of my hours. Like by the time I got to this point, I was already down to like dwindling hours, so I really couldn't get any miles, so I had a real shitty paycheck. But I think after that, I got a decent paycheck again, and this week it was pretty decent. All right, so I just want to show you what that looked like, what my checks look like, which is not indicate and you know, it doesn't indicate what you may do. You may do better, because I mean, I'm making 0.52 cent a mile. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. They have a scale here. I didn't know this. Nobody told me this. I learned this from talking to payroll after I got my second check. But they have a scale here, whereas if you drive anywhere from 0 to 100 miles, you make this amount of money. I think it's 80 cents. And you drive from 100 to 200, you make like 60 cents. And then anything over 200, you make your base pay. So that's, you know, that's how that works. So if you get a deadhead and you got to go 30 miles or 40 miles or whatever, they'll pay you 80 cents a month. So that's pretty basically how that works. But when I calculate my shit, I usually just calculate at 0.525. So, you know, it just makes it easier for me to understand. And if it comes out greater than what I calculated, shit, I'm happy. So anyway, these are the payroll totals that I've gotten over the past 4 weeks. Now, I don't know how you may look at this. I'm a company driver. And I'm not doing no leasing or none of that. It's just straight company driver, and they take out for taxes and all of that. So this is what my checks look like. Hopefully you're able to see that. All right, so as you can see, my first week, which is here, this one here, my first week, that was when they gave me the orientation pay plus the reimbursements, and then my first dispatch. The second week is, like I said, that's that week there that you can see there for $872. I was kind of really disappointed in that. I was expecting more, but to keep it real, I kind of messed up on the calculation. So, and when I redid it, I see, okay, yeah, because the mileage and everything was right. It's just that I just did the math wrong. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of miles to deal with. I think this turned out to be about, I don't know, a little over 2,000 miles, I think. Or it could be shorter than that. I really can't remember. I would have to go into it. And then as you can see, the third week, I got a little more than $1,800. And then this week, paycheck, I got almost $1,700. So that's over the 4 weeks that like I said, in my opinion, I think it's pretty decent. If you're really interested in joining NAPA, please don't hesitate to give them my driver code, which is WILJJ, and my truck number is 422007. Listen, I'm gonna hang up now because I'm burning the fuck up, and I gotta turn this motherfucking truck back on and get this AC running. I'll get back with y'all. Hopefully I get back. I finally got my eyeglass case so I can charge my eyeglasses. So what I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna try to be taking video as I'm driving down the road, and doing all kind of shit like that, to get it from my perspective, so to speak. All right, y'all stay up. Like I always say, pay attention to what the cosmos is telling us, because even though the messages we may not want to hear, they probably are messages that we need to hear. You keep it, keep it up, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.